Let's go back to the light scenario. When you switch the light bulb on, 1 second, Musa, as it flows forth, you get many types of waves interacting and crossing each other. At the time when there is a break in light, you will say this is evil. In contrast to another point where two waves are joining to produce intense light. But that is only within the internal mechanisms of light. If you take light as a whole, you will say it has no contrast because there's nothing but light. You can't categorize it with good or evil. It's nothing but good.
What creates the bright and light?
It's the internal workings of light itself.
So any
You know, when you see a painting, you look at Mona Lisa from afar, you say, what a breathtaking, wonderful portrait. Well, okay, somebody else might. But if you go close and you will see the strokes of the paintbrush, you will see a heck of a lot of inconsistency. You will see the contours of the paintbrush and so on and so forth. But you look at it from afar, you will say, wow, it's something like that. Yes? The internal workings of the world, with the breaks and the intenses and the peaks and the lows and the dips, you can categorize that through contrast with each other as good and bad. Yes? You can contrast Iblis with Jibreel. Yes? You can contrast Saddam with our Mirages. But humanity as a whole, you can have humanity as a whole, it doesn't have a contrast. Do you see that? Human beings as a whole doesn't have a contrast. Yes? If you were to bring together the angelic and the demonic realm as one existence, it doesn't have a contrast beyond it. If you can have the world as a whole, it doesn't have a contrast. Can you see that? So there is no real another in that sense. Musa, what did you want to say?
I was just going to say that, I think you've already said it, that good and evil don't really exist in relation to the universe.
Not universe, world as a whole, the existence as a whole. Existence as a whole.
Yeah.
As a whole.
But good and evil do matter in relation to me or you.
It matters in relation to our own growth.
Yeah.
Good is a growth promoting factor.
Yeah.
Evil is growth resisting factor. Can you see that? But that's another debate altogether. Have you understood from the way Sadra is coming?
I understand, the light and how all of existence is that same light. And if you look at the universe and you look at the world, everybody is manifesting the same manifestation of existence. And that makes sense, But what I don't understand is how can we differentiate between the existence within us and the existence of God?
No, you can't. You can only say entirety in itself, the all embracing beauty that cannot be described, the transcendent is God, as God. And the world is nothing less than, it's not other than God. It's nothing but God. So what Sadra does is, he takes away the whole problem of proving the another. He says there's no proving the another. Now this is so close to the Hindu philosophy. The Hindu philosophy and the Brahma notion that we have, they said you can't prove the existence of God. You have to say, I am, the world is, it is, basically it is, and that's it. Then try and explain how it is. And the Imams, what do they say? La ya'lam kayfa huwa illa hu. Nobody understands how he is except he. That's the beautiful thing that points at that. And this is what Hussein ibn Ali said, that how may I take recourse to the world that you have created to point me to you when I see you standing before it, beyond it, below it? Are you not surely more manifest than the world that you have created? These are the exact truths that they were pointing at. Sorry.
Very wrong.
Yeah. However, it's still difficult to envisage this. And I think that Ibn Arabi says is so remarkable and so brilliant. I mean, Sadra comes from a philosophical perspective, yes? And he wants to prove logically how you can validate the claim of the existence of God and the existence of the world. So according to Sadra's theory, when you look at the verse, huwa al-awwalu wal-akhir, he is the first and he is the last, makes perfect sense. It is nothing but him. He is the first and he is the last. Huwa al-zahiru wal-batin, he is the apparent and he is the hidden. What you see is nothing but a reflection of Allah. What you don't see is nothing but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَيْنَمَا تَوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. Wherever you turn, then you will see the face of Allah, because there is nothing but Allah. And then these Sufi analogies that we get, that a person standing at the shores of a roaring sea will say, how wonderful are the display of the sea, and will deny the existence of the waves independently. As opposed to another person who will say, how wonderful are the waves. A one who is discerning will say, it's nothing but the sea. Or the Sufi analogy, that the world and God is like speech and the speaker. The speech is nothing but the expression of the person who speaks. All of these things. However, there is still a bit of a problem that I find with Sadra. Because Sadra is talking about emanation, and emanation is like this. From the core, we just pointed out this chart with circles, yes? I need you to pay close attention to this. We explained, it's like a core, yes? A focal point, which then elaborates itself, then elaborates itself, then elaborates itself. And forever it's going. Wallahu khallaqun alim. He is the most knowing creator. Khalqun upon nur ala nur. Creation upon creation, creation upon creation. Unending creation, unending existence is nothing but elaboration. In which every level beyond this point doesn't exist until this point projects itself. And then it projects further. And then it projects further. The other realms do not exist until there's projection. There's a fundamental problem with this system. The fundamental problem is that there was God and then other things came about. There is this thing of death. Can you see that? The Prophet said, كَانَ اللَّهُ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ شَيْءٍ مَعَهُ. There was Allah and nothing was with Him. According to Sadrian system, even though nothing is other than the expression of God, yet it is there really as other than God. Can you see that? Our Sufi masters deny this totally. They say no, it's not like that. So Sadra, even though he modifies causation, yet he agrees to causation, that there is another. It's not independent, it's through God entirely. It's a projection of God's light as emanation, but there is another, distinct another. Can you see that? The Prophet had said, if you were to cast a rope at the bottom of the earth, it would surely arrive at Allah. It's an amazing statement. If you were to cast a rope at the bottom of the earth, it would arrive at Allah. You can't escape Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Arabi and his followers actually deny this and go beyond this. Now, I'm going to take a pause for thought for 5 minutes here before we go and conclude this. Yeah, we'll wait for you. The one fundamental point that Sadra brings about is that there is no another distinct from the world in that sense. Yes? The another is existence in its entirety. Okay, can you see how he is actually evading the whole issue of the other? In his scheme of things, that problem is not faced. If that doesn't make sense, please tell us. I can repeat it or explain in a different way.
I have a question that's not related to what you said so far. It's about control into what, you know, like supposing you've got upstairs and that person can never be guided, or I know it says we have, I don't know, I just want to know the degree to which God is involved in our life to lead to what?
There is no degree that escapes Allah. According to this model that we've just erected, Allah permeates every strata of existence. There is nothing that escapes Allah. There is nothing but Allah in truth.
But to control?
You see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in the Quran. He is not saying from a point of somebody was created and talking about the creation. He's talking about the real existential factors that are there.